Blog Talk Radio.
I wish I was in the land of cotton. Oh, times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away.
Our people are very serious about not being very serious. Meanwhile, white people are very serious about playing hardball against us. And this hardball is called genocide.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Gus T Renegade and Justice in for another broadcast to share constructive information on what racism, white supremacy is and how it works. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to another broadcast. I want to again reiterate, if you do not think that you're getting constructive information, is not, good use of your time, please do not tune in. We do not want people wasting time. I want you tuning in if you are getting valuable information that you can use. There are tons of other programs. You can be working on your own program, your own book, film, anything to work against racism. Also want to make sure that I announce we will be back tomorrow morning. Today is Tuesday, December 21st. We will be back tomorrow morning. That would be Wednesday, December 22nd. Special program. We will be talking with Senator David Lee Jordan. He's the senator in Mississippi, and he has already been talking about the alleged suicide of Mr. Frederick Jermaine Carter. He was the 26-year-old black male who was found hanging in a tree in a mostly white neighborhood in Mississippi. Senator Jordan had spoke out about it. He said it was suspicious, and he had been in contact with the family, but he will be on the program tomorrow morning. That would be Wednesday, December 22nd, showtime. Early, you got to get up. It's worth it, though. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, and 7 a.m. Pacific. I'm on the West Coast, so I got to get up very early, but should be great program. The final call, I think they had the photo on the front page of the gentleman hanging from the tree, reminiscent of Emmett Till. And actually this happened, I think, just miles away from where the body of Emmett Till was discovered. So tomorrow morning, Context of White Supremacy, showtime 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Senator David Lee Jordan, Senator David Lee Jordan. For this broadcast, have to give credit where credit is due. Irritated Genie of Southeast and War on the Horizon, they have a great documentary on black nationalism, and they reference the book that we are going to discuss today and talking about the damage, the psychic trauma that black people have experienced and still deal with as a result of slavery under racism, white supremacy. Our guest, in addition to co-authoring that book in the title, Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma, in addition to co-authoring that book, she also is co-creator of Latif Communications Group. It's a multimedia promotions firm headquartered in downtown Chicago, specializing in book publishing, newspaper publishing, and video productions. Real privilege to have her on the program, and looking forward to hopping right into her material. Thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us. Our guest, Naimah Latif. Mrs. Latif, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear. Loud and
great.
Clear.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Groovy.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is ours. The pleasure is ours. For our listeners who might not be familiar with the work that you do with Latif Media, or if they haven't read the book, could you give them a little more information just about who you are and everything that you do?
Well, I am a television producer and publisher, as you mentioned, here in Chicago. And our show comes on every Monday at 5 and Tuesday at noon here in Chicago. The show is called The Media Connection. And it also comes on on Evanston TV, and you get on the web at www.ectv.com. And that show basically gives us an opportunity to expose a lot of people that you should know who are doing positive things in the community, whether it's politics, education, business, religion. And we tell the news from the perspective that you don't always hear. So I've had a chance to talk to some of those that you see all the time, of course, Representative Jackson, Senator Barack Obama, Senator, people who have been around for quite a while in the activist community, and those who come through Chicago from outside the country. So we have a broad-based perspective, and what we have done with the book Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma, we produced a film based on the book. It's entitled A Hip-Hop Journey with the Ancestors, and it's a story about a young man who, after he commits a crime, goes to prison, and he has an experience where he meets the ancestors who explain to him he's got a deeper purpose for his life. And through this film, we're able to go back in history and tell the story about the ancestors in the way that we do in psychic trauma. But the book itself is used as a textbook in classrooms around the country, and the movie version we intend to introduce to young people as a way to, number one, encourage them to read, and number two, to have a respect for the great, rich history that we have as a people, so that they can see that they have a great destiny. And my purpose, of course, as a publisher and producer, is to raise consciousness and give knowledge and hopefully inspire and motivate people to become their best. You
are a black female, is that correct?
I'd say say so. Love that question. And I'm thinking, wait a minute now. But yes, I am. I am female every day, all the time, and I am of African descent, and I am, of course, the proud mother of a soon-to-be college graduate, my late husband, Sultan Abdul Latif. We were blessed to have someone who grew up in the philosophy that we lived our lives in, and she has now has a world perspective. She's learning several languages and preparing to go abroad. My latest book, The Female Solution, I speak about the need for women to have enough love for each other to change the society that we have unfortunately created because of our anger. And all of our books, my husband's book, When Nations Gather, talks about the people of various ethnicities and nations coming together to live the spiritual principles. And all of our work pretty much has the theme of self-renewal so that we can change the world around us.
Wow. My observation is that what we're all seeking to heal from, looking to change, is the system of racism, white supremacy. I use those two terms as synonyms, and I have the same definition for both terms. That definition is a global system of people who classify themselves as white and are dedicated to abusing and or subjugating everyone in the known universe whom they classify as not white. Do you believe that's I'm sorry?
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good definition.
Oh, there we go. There we go. And that's what I'm here to correct. I hope this program will give out information that will help eradicate that system immediately. I want to pass off my co-host. She is here, Justice. If you have some questions that you would like to ask Mrs. Naimah Latif, your line should be open. Please go right ahead.
Hello. What
Hi.
is the Latif Communications Group?
Latif Communications Group, of course, named after our last name, Latif. And Latif Communications Group is, we specialize in book publishing, newspaper publishing, and video productions. And the name Latif means subtle but with deep meaning. And I guess you could say that kind of characterizes our work because we seek to go deep in terms of giving people a deeper understanding of life. And the book, Psychic Trauma, of course, the total title is Slavery to African American Psychic Trauma. And in this book, we wanted to do more than just talk about the slave experience. We wanted to talk about the lingering effects that all of us have as a result of living in a society that's constantly tearing down our self-esteem and denying us dignity and pride in our heritage, so that by the time that we're adults, we have internalized a feeling of inferiority so much that we pass that on to our children, and they pass it on to their children. So we tend not to achieve. When you look at other ethnic groups that come here and they see the opportunities of a capitalist society where all you got to do basically is be able to sell something and you can make it. We have been so conditioned to think that we need to have other people either approve of the way we look or approve of our speech or our dress or whatever it is. We think we need other people to approve of us and other people to give us a job in order for us to survive, when other people who come here, they don't have any of those slavery time conditioning of thinking that there's someone else that's in control of their destiny. They come here, they figure it out, they know, okay, all I got to do is sell something and I can get rich. And they go right to it. But we have such low self-esteem because of the way we've been conditioned that we don't do what every other ethnic group instinctively does. And we still continue to struggle today and live in poverty in the midst of all of this wealth that this country has to offer. And it's about conditioning. And one of the biggest parts of the conditioning is the breakdown of our families, because you really can't survive if you can't pull together a family and cooperate. And we keep trying to work as individuals and we keep failing because during the slave experience, our families were broken up and our system of familyhood was broken, our extended family was broken up, and our sense of unity was broken. And we have been conditioned to fight each other, and we have not recovered from that as of yet. Even now, our lifestyle is such that we have difficulties maintaining marriages. We have difficulties coming together to do things like build businesses, buy property, things that other families and other communities can do. We struggle with that because that sense of unity is broken, because we were taught to betray each other, and that was part of the slave conditioning. Betrayal was sometimes for survival, and so that's what we learned to do, and that's what we still do. So we talk about those kinds of things, but in a way that helps people see themselves, and so they know that as an individual they need to correct their thinking in order to change their condition.
What do you do as the Vice President of the Latif Communications Group?
What I do, of course, now I've assumed the two presidents, since my late husband was president, and I'm now running the company. And what I do, television show, and what the executive producer does is basically secure the financing, secure the sponsors, the advertisers, the people that finance our programming, and we have several television shows we produce various names and guests and hosts and so forth. Religious programming, some of educational programming, and then I host a couple of TV shows. And so we pretty much are responsible for the administrative part of the business, and and contracting people who work with us, whether it's other hosts or whatever the case may be. So, this is what we've done over the last 20 years. And, once my husband passed, of course, myself, my daughter, we still run the business along with other associates. And right now, I'm in the process of preparing to publish 3 other authors. We have some excellent books that, again, kind of follow that theme of helping people with self-discovery so that they can rise to higher heights, both mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Going to my next question. You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Oh, okay. I don't know what to do about that. I'll try to clear it.
Justice, there's some static in your line. I'm not sure if it's your line or not, because I can hear static in your line from time to time. I'm not sure. If you might want to try dialing back in, like hang up and just dial back in really quick and see if that clears it up.
Okay, I'll do that real fast.
Okay. And Groovy, while you're doing that, I'll check with one of our listeners just to see if they can hear everyone clearly. Person at I'll take the person that called in last 4 digits 3413. I just need a sound check really quick. 3413. Can you hear us clearly? Last 4 digits 3413. Can you hear us clearly? Okay, I will get someone who can answer. Person who dialed in last 4 digits 791. 7908. Can you hear us clearly? 7908.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, I think that might be her line. She should be dialing right back in. While I'm waiting for her, you said that betrayal was a means for survival for a lot of black people. Can you elaborate on that? And could you share if you see that continuing, that black people having to betray one another?
Well, of course, on the slave plantation, we were conditioned to see the white slave owner as the person who had the power over life and death. And we were conditioned to believe that they were godlike in terms of having us under their total control, which in a sense was nearly correct because the government did not prosecute anyone who took the life of the person they had as a slave. You know, you could kill, torture, rape, beat, anything, and there was no one to speak up to you. So in a sense, we were at the mercy of these people. And if there was anybody who was talking about trying to escape or trying to plan an uprising, the slave who told on them was often rewarded. And then, of course, the people who were trying to escape or rebel were severely punished, you know, some beaten to the point of death or near death. So we learned to betray each other in order to get the favor of those in power. You tend to do that even now. And even if you look at what happens even in the political arena, and when someone is speaking out, and you look at the various leadership across the country, just looking at the drama around the election of President Barack Obama. And here in Chicago, we really feel because we have some very strong leaders here. I mean, this is where Minister Farrakhan is, Reverend Jesse Jackson, and, of course, Reverend Jeremiah Wright, who was such a center of controversy during that time because he spoke out strongly, and he spoke out strongly against racism and white supremacy. And you had so many people that were jumping on him and attacking him as if he said something that was not true about America. And so there is Barack Obama being attacked for just having gone to the church. And he's constantly having to denounce and renounce anybody that frightens whites or offends whites. Whereas no one white ever has to do that. Has to declare themselves as, you know, not in agreement with someone who speaks out strongly against racism. And then you had members of the press who, you know, that betrayal thing that we've been conditioned to do. You know, a member of the press who will go and hear a black leader such as a Reverend Jeremiah Wright or Minister Farrakhan or anybody or Reverend Al Sharpton, and then print a story in such a way that creates a controversy and causes that person to come under attack as if they said something wrong, when in fact they're just speaking out against injustice. But we're conditioned, once we're so-called educated, we're conditioned to really betray each other because instead of us collectively speaking out against what's wrong, once we get into a professional position, we start identifying with those who maintain the system of white supremacy. And look at all the people who attacked Dr. King during his time, attacked Malcolm X, attacked people who really were fighting to create equality. And yet those on the inside, the professional people, the people who were so-called accepted, they became the ones who were most likely to lead the attack on their strong-speaking brothers and sisters, because we've been conditioned to betray each other as opposed to us collectively fighting wrong and us collectively speaking out against racism. And we see that everywhere. Corporate America, you see that. You know, you see it in the job place. So it gets difficult for an African American who is independent thinking and who is strong-willed to be able to challenge a wrong somewhere and get support, because we have been conditioned to betray each other to the power structure as a means of survival.
Wow. I believe Justice has returned. Justice, your line should be open if you want to ask some more questions.
Can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It seems like you really enjoy being on TV. What is the constructive value of your television program?
You say the constructive value?
Yes.
Well, I think we're really blessed to be in a time where the airwaves have been made available, because people tend to believe what they see on television. And for a long time, we have not had access to the means of creating the information that people see and hear. So when we can't tell our own story, other people tell it, and they make us look bad. You know, they paint us as crooks, thieves, liars, low-life, ignorant. You know, they paint us in such a way that the world community sees us and disrespects us. So now, with the internet, television, and cable television, and all the avenues that we can reach the world community, we can write the scripts, we can tell our own story, we can point out the positive news that others won't tell about us, so we can change our worldwide image. And that's critical, because we as a people have to develop a world view so that we know that we're not confined by the four walls of America. We are world citizens, and we don't have to take disrespect. We can go abroad, and most entertainers who've gone abroad will tell you this. African American people are highly respected other places, and we don't know that until we leave the shores here. And we also don't know that when people are angry at Americans, they're not angry at Black Americans, they're angry at white Americans. So 9 times out of 10, when our soldiers have gone to war and they've discovered that Asians and others, and Eastern Europeans and others aren't necessarily angry at Black people, because they don't see us as the oppressors. They see us as sometimes victims the same as they are. And that's what a lot of soldiers came back when they came back from, whether it's Korea or Vietnam, or even as late Afghanistan. You know, they find that the African-American soldier is not seen so much as the enemy as the white soldier, because they don't see us as the oppressors. They see us as victims like themselves. And we don't know that until we leave here. So we have to present a story of us. We have to present our success stories. We have to present our intelligent people, our educated people, our inventors, our scientists, our lawyers, people who are really admired around the world if they get the exposure, because we have to counteract the image that has been created of us. During slavery, the image of African American people were the lowest, the most ignorant, the most decadent, lacking in morals, lacking in civilization and all of that, as a means to justify their oppression of us. So once people saw us as human beings and saw us for who we are, then they realized our oppression was wrong, and there was never any justification for it. But we had to give the voice to tell that story. And so that's why television is important, because we can fight with words and images, and we can and Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the greatest examples of our time in showing how when you show the world who you really are, and you show people who are oppressing you for the evil that it is, people will see who's wrong and who's right, and they will fight for your cause, and they will stand up for you and with you, because they can see your humanity and they can see the others in humanity. And that's what he was able to expose when he showed the dogs being used to attack people, and the water hose being used to attack people, and us just peacefully trying to do something as simple as ride a bus or go to school or to a library. He showed the world so that the world came to our defense instead of our humanity. So the media is a weapon, and that's what I use it as, a weapon to fight the good fight.
I don't have any more questions at this moment. Thank you.
Okay.
Context of white supremacy. I want to kind of rewind a little bit to some of the more recent guests that we have had on the program, and I just want to get your thoughts to see if this sounds like it could be symptoms of the psychic trauma that we black people have experienced because of racism, white supremacy. We had one guest. She calls herself the Oreo Experience. The Oreo.
Wow.
That's what she calls herself, and she defines Oreo as disparaging and offensive. A black person who is regarded as having adopted the attitudes, values, and behavior thought to be characteristic of middle-class white society, often at the expense of his or her own heritage. That's her definition, and she's been married to a white person. She takes great delight in saying, she doesn't hang out with regular black people. That's the term that she has for other black people, regular black people. And she said that even some of the white people that she hang around, they were playing some sort of board game, and I think you were supposed to make a word, and the clue that you got starts with the letter N, things that scare you. And she said one of her white friends leaned over and said, if you weren't here, somebody would have yelled out the N-word. These are her white friends. So that's one guest. The other guest, Mr. H.K. Edgerton, black male, and he is the president of the Southern Heritage 411. He was a guest last week, and he said that black people in America, even though we went through slavery, we are in a way better position than black people in Africa. Like, it was better for us in the long run to come here and experience slavery than to stay on the god-awful continent of Africa. He said that white people in the South were like family to black people. And the Civil War was just, the war of northern aggression, white people coming down and stirring up trouble between black people and white people who were getting along fine. He said he is proud of the tradition of black people in the Confederate States who defended the plantation. Does that sound like what you write about in?
Yeah, they pretty much, they've been brainwashed pretty good there. Yeah. That's kind of sad, but that's where they are. When you're a child and you're raised to think a certain way, that's how you see the world. And once that worldview has been ingrained in you, it's pretty much set. So you look at their home experience. If they grew up in families that the mother and the father didn't have a strong sense of identity and pride of who they are, and they didn't instill it in the children, and then the children went to schools that pretty much taught the inferiority of black people and taught them the philosophy that blacks who were brought here were better off than those who stayed in Africa and all of that. I mean, the conditioning is in most of the school systems. So they apparently were very thoroughly brainwashed, and that's who they are. Black people with low self-esteem because of their sense of inferiority about their own people. And that's probably who they'll be from now on. And once you reach adulthood, even when you give them information, very seldom, either they won't read it or they won't believe it when they read it, because it's very difficult for them to realize that they've been taught a lie and have lived a lie their whole life. And sometimes they become very angry when you try to give them information. And there's really kind of nothing you can do about it. It's sad, because those are the kind of people that are often used against others. And they become tools of those who wish to justify the wrongdoing that happens. I think I heard you mention the young man who was found dead. He had hanged himself and so forth. And things like that are outrageous, but then you'll have some black person who's been brainwashed like that, who will either see that crime and say, well, it probably wasn't suicide, why don't they stop, making excuses? Or they'll say, well, if he was killed, so what? Probably was a thug or the drug dealer anyway. People like that who won't feel a sense of outrage when there's a wrong done because they've already been brainwashed to see us as worthless. And it's scary, but that's what brainwashing does. And it's part of what we see every day. How the news conditions are thinking, how the school conditions are thinking. And if you don't have parents who have knowledge, then you're going to end up brainwashed to see yourself as really deserving of whatever bad treatment you get because that's what you're being inferior. And it's kind of the message that our children get all the time. And there's no deprogramming process other than whatever happens in your homes, or if you're fortunate enough to run into somebody who enlightens you. Mm-hmm. Every year, my production crew, we go to the historically black colleges and universities as part of the college tour that Reverend Jesse Jackson sponsors. He sends 120 students across the country during spring break to, number one, to raise their conscience about the possibility of going to college, but number two, to introduce them to the historically black colleges that were founded right after slavery as a way to undo the damage of slavery, and so they can get the experience of knowing why they're in school, not just to go out and get a job, but to undo this unjust system and to change the world and make it a just place, so to have respect for the struggle. Because that's not taught in the schools. The fact, what we had to go through to force this society to treat us like human beings and have to force the society to give us access to information so we can be educated. So we do that each year with those students, and I see a transformation in them every year because I see that it's like a light bulb turning on their head when they see that, oh, I've been brainwashed all these years of my life. And they finally get it, and they finally understand that they represent the vision of those ancestors who did fight back and who did uprise and who did rebel on the plantations and then marched and fought and all of that, withstood lynching and everything. They finally get it, but you can't get it unless you get out of the brainwashing of the system, and that system is designed to produce that kind of thinking, that kind of self-hating thinking. So that's one of the reasons why we wrote this book, and that's why we produced the movie, because we have to try to undo the brainwashing before it's too late.
The website where people can get more information, I included the website to Latif Media, and that is latifmedia.com. Is there a different website?
Yes.
Is that one valid? People can just check that one out?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yes, www.latifmedia.com, yes.
Outstanding. Okay.
Of course, you can also, Google my name and all that. And our TV show, The Media Connection, you can see clips from on YouTube. They go to www.youtube.com/Naimah Latif, and our YouTube channel with The Media Connection will come up. And of course, they can see some of the clips of some of the news briefs you've done, some interviews you've done, and they can even post comments about some of the video clips. But it's an ongoing process, changing the thinking. And we got a test at the beginning of the book, the psychic trauma test. 20 questions that we ask. The people ask themselves and rate their answers, and at the end of the test, we explain the answers and the meanings of the answers, and then throughout the book, we explain why certain issues pop up in our lives, such as the shame about the way we look, the whole light skin, dark skin thing that we're still struggling with. How much did they talk about that when President Obama was running? Is he really black? Is he basically identified? Is he black enough? All of that. The whole hair business, and then the way we speak, our dialect, and whether it's a sign of intelligence or lack of intelligence, and our feelings about marrying outside the race, and just all the obsessive things that we go through as a people because we we're always conditioned to think that other people have to approve of who we are. And other people are not, unless they've been colonialized, which, of course, many African nations have. And so because that is something that we have had to fight against, that colonial mentality. When we meet with other Africans, sometimes they're just as traumatized as we are, because they've been in a society that taught white supremacy as well. So when some of them go abroad and think, oh, I'm going back to the motherland, and you meet people, their hair is straighter than yours, and they're bleaching their skin and everything else, and you wonder, where's your African pride? And they have also been conditioned to think that the closer you are to white, the better you are, because white people took over their land and put them in a condition of subservience for many, many years before many of these countries got their independence. But the conditioning is still the same because people run the school system is the same. So when people can come into your school system and give you books that say they discovered your country, that means they control your thinking. So all of us, really around the world, we have got to come out of the control, the mental control of those who wish to teach us that we are inferior to them.
Context of white supremacy. I wanted you to, if you could share with our listeners, when you talk about psychic trauma, you relate it to the experience of prisoners of war, and a part of that is black people striving for approval from our captors, white people. Can you elaborate on that for our listeners?
Yes, and many who have been in war, they kind of know that what they call post-traumatic stress syndrome. When you're constantly fearful that your life is going to be threatened, you're in a heightened state of alert all the time, or you're constantly defensive, and you are always thinking in terms of whether or not you're going to have to defend yourself, and you can't just relax and be a person. and that's part of what we live in America. And as a matter of fact, I have a nephew that recently came back from Japan, and he was just surprised that, he's going to the store and nobody was following him around. Of course, young black men, free to hear and all that. Going to a store, nobody's following him around. Nobody's asking, well, may I help you? There just was none of that. There was no constant feeling of being watched or no fear of the police stopping you for no reason. And he didn't realize that he was living with that fear and apprehension until he went somewhere and he didn't have it, because he speaks fluent Japanese now, and he spent 2 years there for college. And people just treat him like a human being. And you don't realize that you're not treated like a human being until you go someplace where people are treating you like a human being. So with psychic trauma, it's like this, the trauma of constantly living with the feeling that you are going to be attacked some kind of way. You have to constantly have your guard up, whether somebody's going to say something or do something, embarrass you in some kind of way. You go into a store and you're followed around, or you're driving your car, you're stopped, searched, spread all out in the car. Just the whole thing. Just not ever feeling comfortable because you're in a society that has decided that there's something wrong with you. And the trauma of that, what it does to you, how it scars your personality. And we're not conscious of it until we get into an environment where we realize that's what we've been living with. most African American children that go in that grew up in a segregated society, their neighborhood, when they go away to college, and it's a predominantly white college, they experience that racism of professors that treat them differently or treat them they're stupid and all of that, and they have to constantly defend themselves or be made to feel like there's something wrong with them when they are in a classroom. And this has an impact on your self-esteem. That's why there's more students that graduated from predominantly black colleges than predominantly white colleges, because white colleges, they literally drive you out, unless you're very strong in your sense of identity, they can literally drive you out of school. Just having to defend your self-esteem every day and keep your ego from being bruised every day. Being in a classroom where, your papers are graded lower because you're black, so they assume you're less intelligent, or they won't call on you in class, even though your hand up. Little things, little subtle snubs and things like that. If you're in an environment where your professors are racist and you can't do anything about it because you can't control their thinking, then you're going to always be judged as less intelligent as you are, and that has an impact. And it happens not just on the college level, but on the high school and grammar school level in many areas that are predominantly white that children have to go to. So we send our children to these so-called better schools, and sometimes that's the worst thing we can do, because we put them in the hands of people that have already been conditioned to see them as inferior and therefore treat them as such. So it's a constant state of mind where you're always on the defense, instead of just being accepted for who you are and given the respect for who you are, along with every other person. And it's passed down from generation just based on the fact that this is the society that we live in. Until we change it, until we force this society to stop teaching racism and white supremacy.
Again, our guest for today's program, author of The Female Solution, co-author of Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma, Naimah Latif. While I was listening, and you talked about how challenging it can be to attend a predominantly white institution where, you're talking about really refined racism, and to be in that environment as a black person. I was in that situation, and one of the things that I know that tends to be a major issue in those settings is sexual intercourse with white people. And you talk about that in the book. How does the legacy of rape and just sexual intercourse with white people, how does that relate to psychic trauma?
Well, it produced this extreme class system that we still have among us today, which the whole idea that someone who is lighter skinned with straighter hair is better is something that's it's supported by the cosmetic industry and the fashion industry, so that many dark-skinned black women have extremely low self-esteem because they grew up with the idea that they and undesirable. And when a woman does not have high self-esteem, she tends to cheapen herself. She tends to give herself away because she does not believe she is worthy of better treatment. And this has an impact on the way our daughters see themselves and how the way they allow themselves to be mistreated. And this stems back from that slavery time experience. The white slave owner would, as a way to cheaply get new slaves, just impregnate the women. And the result would be a lighter complected child, and that child would be sold for higher, more money, because in addition to being supposedly someone who could probably be used as a house servant, and therefore someone who could be the eyes and ears of the master and would tend to have more reliability because they would identify with the white master, that person, if they were female, would also be a desirable bed partner. And so slavery was a way that adultery became legal, and this kind of scars the nation to this day. When here we have a legacy supposedly of marriage and family, when in fact you had a whole culture of adultery. You have a whole culture where black women were imported to be the bed partners, the concubines and mistresses, the sex on the side. You know, the man didn't have to develop a good intimate relationship with his wife. He could buy a woman and use her for that purpose, and her children would basically be more of the same kind, you know, light-skinned, yet unfree women who were available to be used. And this even had the impact on some of our lighter complected sisters. You know, they've kind of been conditioned to follow that role of the woman who can use her body to get special favors, and therefore that's what she does. But at the same time, her image is one of, you know, a sexual person, but not necessarily someone who is held up to high moral standards, and someone who is conditioned to accept that role. And it's a sad thing because it is a way of demoralizing all African American women. And the legacy of that continues. Just you look at some of our most acclaimed female artists and actresses, they're so fawned over for being an image of the stereotypical mixture of white and black that they set a standard which dark-skinned women feel compelled to try to follow. And what does that mean? I mean, if you don't naturally have long, straight hair, what do you have to do? You have to go and buy it. So then we've created an industry, in which, ironically, the Koreans have capitalized on, the hair weave industry. You got all these black women with hair weave trying to fit an image of a Caucasian form of beauty, and they're paying to look like someone else. And even, as I mentioned, there are some places, Africa, Nigeria, I believe they even have this problem in Jamaica. There's this hormone that is used to whiten the skin of chickens. Women have started taking this hormone to lighten their skin. And it's insanity because we've been conditioned to believe that the look of a person who is a mixture of white and black is a better look than someone who has no infusion of white in their ancestry. So it's a way that women were kind of degraded and men were made to feel powerless, because during slavery, a white man could have any woman he wanted, whether she wanted him or not. He owned her. And what does this do to a man? It says you're not man enough to protect the woman that you're supposed to be protecting. And that's still a large part of even and I talk about this extensively in the Female Solution, that's still a large part of the relationship between white men and black men, part of the power struggle over who controls the women. And when a woman gets a job and she's working for a white boss, sometimes that white boss gets more respect in her husband's eyes than her husband, and so that can create some resentment. Just as a man feeling like there's another man who literally is taking care of his wife and getting his wife's respect and attention, and so when she's gone long hours on the job, he reacts as a man who has lost his wife to another man. And sometimes that's the reason why our marriages don't work or are in trouble or in conflict, because we still have this power struggle between men when it comes to white men who can literally control all the women because they have the money and the power, and the black man is left feeling powerless. Yeah, and the sexual thing is always a very deep-rooted hurt. And I think it was that Tyler Perry movie. I forgot the name of it, but I remember one of the main characters, the woman, she had an affair with her white boss, and her husband was trying to be an entrepreneur and everything. She didn't respect him. But that kind of dynamic can happen a lot because of the old slavery time relationship of the white master having control of the black woman because he was master and the black man had no power. And the white master could impregnate the black woman, and then the children, of course, were held up to be better than the darker-skinned children. We see that even sometimes in the school system. And matter of fact, my husband, he went to a classroom where he pointed out to the teacher that all of the dark-skinned children were sitting in the back, and all the light-skinned children were sitting in the front. The teacher didn't even realize she had seated them that way. Unconsciously, she didn't realize she had decided all the good students were the lighter-skinned kids and all the bad students were the darker-skinned children. She did that. Her unconscious programming. And we see that on so many levels that we start thinking, that we perpetuate that color caste system among ourselves.
Do you think it's possible? Was this teacher, was it a white female or?
It was a black female.
Black female, I see. Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, they have done a job on us. They have done a job on us. I was even thinking while you were giving out that just phenomenal information that's Monsters Ball. You know, the exact power dynamic that you just named was, in my opinion, glamorized and hailed as, a masterpiece.
And that's why she won the Oscar. And everybody knew it. I mean, everybody knew it. That is why, and not to say she's not a brilliant actress, but that is why she won the Oscar, because she exemplified what whites would like to ingrain in us as an attitude. And she basically was rewarded for presenting a degrading image. And that's what happens. I mean, we saw it Driving Miss Daisy, the whole bit, They reward us for perpetuating images that degrade us, because their intention when they do films is to degrade us too often. And our intention has to be to uplift us. That's why we have to use the media, whether it's books or film. We have to use the media to fight the battle. But unfortunately, I've got to leave at the end of this hour.
Oh, okay. I'll see if Justice, if you have any questions you'd like to ask before Mrs. Latif departs.
Can you talk about the workshop series you conduct for parents and teachers in elementary schools and high schools?
Yes, I can. Several workshops based on both books, Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma, and the Female Solution. With the psychic trauma, we have done a series of workshops that have to do with building self-esteem, and we take it from always in the beginning with talking about the experience that they have. I do a regular workshop with college students where we talk about when they first were introduced to the idea that there was something different about the races of people. When did they first become conscious of racism, whether they're white or black, and then we talk about their experiences, and then, we talk about what needs to be done to change attitudes. And so much of it has to do with changing the way we have been conditioned to think about each other. And I explain to them that this generation is the one that has to make the change, whether it's changing the way we treat each other, changing the laws that perpetuate inequality, change in the images that we create in the media. But my workshop series with psychic trauma deals with everything in the book that has to do with forming family, raising children, and all of the steps that it would take to undo the damage so that we don't pass this sense of inferiority on to the next generation. My workshop with the Female Solution talk a lot about relationships between males and females. That's kind of where the pain starts. When you come into a relationship and you already feel inferior, it's very difficult for you to give love to someone you don't love yourself. And women too often don't love themselves because they've been conditioned to believe they're unlovable. And like we talked about the whole color caste system, if your image as a woman is in your mind one of an ugly woman because your natural black features are undesirable, or you've been taught they're undesirable, then you're not going to be a good partner in a relationship because you don't believe that you're worthy of love. And if you come from a broken home where, a parent left for whatever reason, you're going to feel abandoned and you're going to have a difficult time trusting. So we talk about a lot of the personal things that keep people from being able to form good relationships, because until you can have a loving relationship, it's very difficult for you to bring a child up with a sense of self-esteem and self-worth. So we work on repairing the damage to the self-esteem of the black woman and also correcting the behavior that we've learned that demeans each other. And we go to elementary schools, high schools, and colleges, all levels. The book itself, both books are written pretty much on a 6th grade level, so, we're not talking over everybody's head, where you got to have a PhD to understand these real basic things and role-playing, so that we can help people see what they do on a day-to-day basis that's helpful and the things that do that's hurtful, so that we can unlearn self-destructive behavior, and we can form better friendships, we can form better partnerships, and we can prepare the next generation to create a better world.
Is your daughter informed about racism, white supremacy? If so, how did she become informed?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Is your daughter informed about racism, white supremacy? If so, how did she become informed?
I'm sorry, I still did not quite hear that. Can you say that again slowly? What was it again?
Is your daughter informed about racism, white supremacy? If so, how
yes.
did she become informed?
She actually, that's a good question. She actually went to a school that was created by very conscious people. I don't know if you know Hakeem Madabuti, Taficia Madabuti. Hakeem Madabuti is the founder of Third World Press. Back in the early days, he was known as Don L. Lee. But he and his wife and others who are consciousness era, they created a school called Betty Shabbat, International Charter School, and she went to that school, and from preschool to 8th grade, and that was a school that taught consciousness, taught African-centered curriculum. They were like one big family, and she actually, because of that experience, and as well as our teaching, and we belong to an international Muslim missionary organization. It's worldwide. So she already grew up with a sense of her identity, as well as she had a sense of pride because of what she's been taught in the school system. And so she didn't have to go through that unbrainwashing process because she was brainwashed. And so when she got ready to go to college, I've let her travel to the historically black colleges. She finally settled on Loyola University in Chicago, but it has a very strong international community. She's very active in the African Student Association and other organizations, the Muslim Student Alliance and all of that. And she's very strong in her identity. And so she's able to plan to go abroad. She knows who she is. And as a result of that, she's able to interact with people of all races and all cultures and feel so comfortable with who she is. And that's what we have to teach our children. But I'm going to have to go, unfortunately. And if people want more information, they can call 312-849-3456. That's 312-849-FILM, 312-849-3456. They can order the books online at Amazon.com, or they can call our publishing company directly. Again, that's 312-849-3456. You can have to come out to the school, organization, and, we're doing a whole tour with the Female Solution, and they can look on my YouTube page and participate in the discussion about the Female Solution at www.youtube.com/Naimah Latif. That's NAIMAHLATIF. And of course, they can get our show, The Media Connection, online at www.ectv.com. And that's every Friday at 1:30 and Saturday at 4:30 p.m.
Great. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us. We really appreciated it, and just continue the outstanding work. We hopefully we can get you back on the program down the road.
And thank you so much. We appreciate the time, and we'll certainly look forward to coming back to speak to your audience again.
Outstanding. Have a outstanding Tuesday evening, and we will be in touch soon.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
You have a great evening.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Context of white supremacy. Gus T Renegade. I will hit the phone line. I'm going to support Mr. Edward Williams at counter-racism.com, and we come right back. I'll hit the phone lines for folks if you want to comment, share anything. Context of white supremacy. And again, tomorrow, that is Wednesday, December 22nd, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Pacific. Early morning show, Mississippi State Senator David Lee Jordan will be on the cows. He spoke out about the alleged suicide of Mr. Frederick Jermaine Carter, 26-year-old black male in Mississippi. Senator Jordan, he was quoted in the USA Today report that broke the story a couple weeks ago. I spoke with him today. He said it's quite suspicious that they did not yellow tape the scene where the body was found. Ordinary circumstances, you would cordon off the area, look for clues, evidence, get a better understanding of what took place. This didn't happen. Why is that? We'll be discussing it tomorrow morning. Early show. Tune in. We should have like tons of live listeners because this is real important. I know a lot of people have been talking about this. The photographs in the final call over this past weekend, they had a big article. It's online. You can see the images. Very reminiscent of Emmett Till. And in fact, I believe this incident took place like less than 20 miles from where the incident with Emmett Till took place. But that's tomorrow's Senator, Mississippi State Senator David Lee Jordan on the cows. But commercial break. We'll be right back. Context of white supremacy.
Is racism hurting you? On issues of race, are you unable to speak, think, and act with clarity and confidence? Are you tired of laughing when nothing is funny, smiling when you are not happy, agreeing when you really disagree? At counterracism.com, you can learn specific strategies and techniques to counter the behaviors of the people who practice racism in all areas of activity, using words correctly, following counter-racist logic, even counter-racist science projects designed to reveal what racism is, how it works, and how to counter it. The open-source code writing format allows you to pick and choose from a variety of counter-racist suggestions so you can produce the code that works for you. Stop by counterracism.com today and help replace racism with justice.
That's counter-racism.com.
there. Thank you so much for coming to my Christmas party. I'm almost ready. Don't you just love Christmas? I know I do. Christmas is a time for hopes and dreams, and a time for Oreos like me to hope and dream about what we want more than anything else. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas because I am an Oreo. I don't want chitlins, but I will read Dickens and watch every Sound of Music showing. I love you, Julie Andrews. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas with nothing dark to be applied. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas in some place Oreos like to go. Maybe alpine skiing or Scandinavian sightseeing, where I wish I could blend in with the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. Kwanzaa candles give me fright. Menorahs are almost right. Please let all our Christmases be white. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas so I can kiss that crew. I'll sing British carols, drink wassail by the barrel, and stroll down a candy cane lane or two. Black people do not do this. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. My hand-stitched capelet fits just right. This is the Oreo's fight to make all our Christmases be white. I'll take my Mad Men box set, but please no hot chocolate, because it's brown, not white. And may all your Christmases be white. Yes, may all your Christmases be white. May all our Christmases be white.
Context of white supremacy. That is the most recent offer from the Oreo Experience, White on the Inside Christmas, available on iTunes. So if that's something that you want to have in your MP3 player, available on iTunes. But yeah, that's the Oreo Experience, I think, apropos for today's program, Psychic Trauma of Racism, White Supremacy. I said repeatedly while she was on the program, mental illness. Mental illness. To really get the full value of that, you should watch the video. I'll leave it at that. To get the full value, you should watch the video. It's on her website, theoreoexperience.com. And you can watch it. You can go to her YouTube page as well. She's Oreo Writer at YouTube. But mental illness. Those holidays are very dangerous. I wish if she'd had an extra moment, I would have got to that. Those holidays have so many hooks. Like even Gus, like I enjoyed a glass of eggnog even before the program. They'll get you. They'll get you. It'll be something. It'll be the food. It'll be the gifts. It'll be the lights. It'll be something. The Grinch. They got so many tentacles to pull you into supporting their foolishness. Do everything you can to resist, and especially if you have offspring, because once you get that Christmas holiday madness rolling, it's hard to stop. Like it gains a momentum all to itself. Like just you don't want to get that started. Justice, did you have anything you wanted to share before I went to the phone lines?
No. No. Not at this moment.
Before I hit the phone lines, I also wanted to make sure I pointed out, I think she did say that there were black people who were using a skin lightening hormone that was supposed to be used on chickens, that black people started using it to lighten their skin. I think she did say that before she exited our guest, Naimah Latif. I thought that was
double whammy.
I will hit the phone lines. Please keep the background noise down. I hope we don't have people, with barn animals in the background and acting crazy. Keep the noise down. Just really disrupts the quality of the broadcast. Thank you. Person who dialed in 530. Actually, I'm just going to open up all the lines. Please keep the background noise down. Please. Thank you. So if you called in, your line will be open. You should feel free to chat if you have anything you want to share.
Can it be heard?
Yes, sir.
Wow, I thought she was actually going to be on the call a little longer. Interestingly enough, I actually just picked up her book about 3 weeks ago and started reading it last week. So I actually had a number of things that I wanted to ask her about the book.
Oh.
Yeah. I actually had quite a bit of them highlighted. So I was actually looking forward to going through those things specifically.
Dang.
Oh, well, next time, I guess.
I'll make an effort to see if we can get her back so that we can get some questions. I will do that.
Yeah. It was definitely a book that offered some really constructive information. Particularly, I liked chapter 5 when she talks about who did they really sell into slavery. I thought that was particularly interesting. I really wanted to get her insights. I'm assuming that she's a Muslim, and so a lot of the book, or a lot of what I got from the book, appeared to be given an account of the Muslims or the slaves who were Muslims, which was a very interesting account. But I wanted to know more so about how did she think about black people more specifically in our legacy in Islam, and whether she thought that was the most constructive theological path for us, considering it is linked to Arab invaders of Africa.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Oh, greetings, Gus. How you doing?
Double whammy.
Yeah, triple whammy out here. It's been raining for 5 days straight.
That's not unusual for Seattle. That's not even news.
Yeah. Have you been keeping up with the prison strike and the prison strikes in Georgia?
A little bit, not as much as I should have. I was thinking that might be worthy of a show. C.O.W.S, the president, I think that's the correct title, president of the new Black Panther Party, has been involved with that. I did see that. Did you see that part?
I'm not sure. I know that some the Black Panther parties. Elaine Brown. She's if you get in touch with her, she's been trying to get on shows to do interviews.
Wow, that's interesting. I got to do. I'm sorry.
Oh, you know who she is?
Yes, I know who she is. I know Elaine Brown. Elaine Brown will be the one person that I will say black people have suspected that that is a highly placed agent. I've heard several black people say that about her, and they just looked at her impact on the Black Panther Party and what happened to it. And, in fact, the documentary that I said before is great, All Power to the People, Mr. Wahad. One black person says it in there, and he gives books that you can read to support that contention. But that's neither here nor there. I should have her on the show, because that would be two things we could talk about: her agent suspect status and what she's doing with the prison strikes in Georgia.
I won't give my opinion on whether I think she's an agent or not. Not this time. I hope she comes on the show, though. Yeah, because I did see that All Power to the People, so most definitely. If you get in touch with her, man. But anyway, the strike's supposed to be over now. They're still not going to work, but basically it was brought out that they were working for free. Working for free, man. It's deep, but what I found interesting is that the white power, the Mexican mafia, and the disciples or whatever, they all basically did the strike together, to get money for the work that they were doing. There's so many different dynamics to that prison strike. It's just the fact that they were working for free. I guess that's a law in Georgia that they don't have to pay the prisoners. Like they usually get a dime an hour, 25 cents or something. But in Georgia, it's like, no, we're not even giving y'all a dime. And they were basically torturing them. They were beating them up. They turned off the heaters. They turned off the hot water. They stopped serving hot meals. It's an interesting story. Basically trying to make these people work for free. They said, basically what I was reading is that the prison guards and the warden and whatnot, they went crazy. They went straight crazy when they decided to stop working. They flipped out. And I just found it interesting. I think there's a bigger story there too, a lesson for us on the that's not in confinement. Supporting some of these corporations and whatnot, like Walmart and things like that. It's like we shouldn't be supporting this stuff. These we shouldn't support them. I think that's one thing that we need to consider is stop shopping. Especially like you said, this holidays and whatnot it's just like stop shopping. And the white people will flip out. I don't know if that's something people are considering as part of their psychic trauma, is that they don't want to offend the white people, by not showing up in their department stores. I suspect it is a part of that psychic trauma, is that they might know better, but at the same time they don't want to upset white people by not spending money that they don't have. It's very interesting that could be a part of it that people I don't think really consider.
I do. I don't always, but I do try to keep that in mind. That was a major part of why I had white people on the show when it first started, like almost exclusively, because I felt like for confused victims, it would be good to hear like white people saying yes. And we were fortunate. Like I think every white person that came on for like the first couple months, all of them said, "Yep, definition is accurate." So I do try to think of that. I probably don't think of it enough, but I think that's an excellent point. Keep in mind that a lot of us don't want to upset white people, and for good reason.
Have you talked to anybody at War on the Horizon recently, or?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I heard you say that you were going to be doing some work with them.
No. When did you mistakenly hear that I said that?
The show with the last white guest that you had on. You said that somebody that you worked with that you will be continuing, or that you're going to be continuing to, or do more work with, and then you brought up the fact that they, whoever that was, said ungood. So, I mean, the way you worded, yeah, I was like, well, I have to ask, you know, but the way you worded it was kind of like you were talking about some, you know. So, but yeah, that's cool. I just was wondering.
I probably didn't say it in the most efficient, effective manner. I probably misspoke. I have not been feeling up to my normal articulate self. I've been victim of psychic trauma. I felt victimized and just very traumatized. So yeah, I probably did say something in a incorrect manner.
Did you just say misspoke?
Probably did. I probably did.
Nah, I thought you had said it too when I listened to the archive of that show with William Lutz. But I think what you were saying was that who I was going to continue working with, and you just said it. Just, you know, your sentence was so tight that it sounded like you said you were going to be working with again, or going to be working with. But I thought she made up some valid points when she talked about. I hadn't read the book, but you know, using media to paint a different image. Because, but I wanted to ask her. I would have liked to have asked, you know, about what the media has done to the image of black people and how they've used it well. Like when she was speaking about our image in the past and how, you know, Dr. King used the media to expose, you know, the racists, which was a good thing at that time, but you know, I believe they turned around and used the media not only to paint an image of us, but to also to get us to start, you know, acting ourselves in a certain manner that supports the image that they are portraying to the world. And I think a lot of times when people go overseas, it can be misconstrued that, of course, you don't get treated the same way that you do here, but a lot of foreign places, at least that I know of, because I've been to foreign places. I've been to Japan and Korea and things of that nature, and they don't necessarily look at us as black. From my experience, they look at us as, you know, Americans, and sometimes the treatment that we get is a little bit because of that fact alone, but sometimes they still. When I was in Japan, I felt a hint of being judged because of my skin color. It may not have been as overt as the feeling that you feel here, but it still was a strange and awkward feeling in some situations. Well, can I say something about Greenwood right quick?
Tomorrow, wait, I heard dishes clanging. Keep the back. I'm not saying it's you, sir, but I heard dishes clanging. Keep the noise down in the background, and the hanging situation in Greenwood. Tune in for the program tomorrow morning, Wednesday, December 22nd, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Gus will be awake, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed. You all should be here too. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, the thing about Greenwood, and I hope to call in the morning. I worked there for about 2 weeks, And it's funny how this thing comes back around. And it's very, very, very old South. You know, it's a place where black people know their place, if you know what I mean. They know their place. I remember walking into this store because I didn't know my place, you know what I mean? I'm there just working. And I remember when I walked into the store, everybody stopped because I was the only black guy in the store. And I just went on to the freezer and, you know, got my product. And, I mean, I'm talking about these people, everybody stopped. The guys at the counter were talking, the old white guys. You know, they looked at me like I, you know, basically, you know, in what are you doing here? Obviously, you know, I'm a foreigner. But I found out later, of course, that the city was highly divided, still is, and this was about maybe 6 years ago. And I, you know, I'll just say that to say that I don't believe the brother or the individual, the black man, hanged himself. I actually believe, just based on my brief experience in Greenwood, it's the first thing I thought about when I heard about the story. That, of course, I can see that in Greenwood, Mississippi, you know, happening. Because there are many backwood places just like that. That, you know, Vidor, Texas is another one. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Vidor, Texas, or Forsyth, Georgia. You know, had some experience in Vidor. You know, but racism is, it's, you know, like they say, it's still alive and well, and it's still alive and well. And listen to the Oreo experience, sing her a song, man. It's just we have an uphill battle. We are certainly not. We are going against the grain, and we have a serious fight. But I think the guest today, she said a lot of good things, but I would definitely like to hear her take on a little bit more explanation of why she really thinks that the media is such a great thing, and in some ways it's done us favors, and how these actors and these popular people go overseas and get treated differently, and how that benefits us who are right here, you know, still dealing with this racism, white supremacy every day.
Hey, Gus, I was thinking about, I remember hearing a story about a bad batch of eggnog. It was like it was like salmonella to the 10th power. and the reason why I remember is because it was like a black area, man, that was you know struck by it. I mean, like, black people was getting sick from this bad eggnog.
Shouldn't be drinking it, man. System of White Supremacy. Shouldn't be drinking it. Even Dick Gregory was talking about Coca-Cola got caught. They would take sodas that had expired at the quote-unquote white grocery stores, and they would take them and just put a new label on it, and then they would just take it and sell it at the black stores. And a lot of black people were getting sick and all that. So, I mean, eggnog has raw or egg yolks in it. I mean, yeah. I just said I enjoyed a cup before the program. They got so many tentacles, man. Racism, white supremacy. They will get you and have you watching The Grinch and drinking eggnog, man. I'm telling you, easy. Psychic trauma, man. Psychic trauma.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. That's a good. I guess that was a part of our book. Maybe a chapter title, Psychic Trauma.
No, that's in the main title of the book, Psychic Trauma. The whole title is Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma, and it just each of the chapters kind of it covers a lot, but many of the chapters go into the psychic trauma and many of the symptoms of that trauma. Like she has one on making of the Negro, and I was hoping she was going to stay longer too, because in part of that chapter she talks about language barriers between Black people, how that was a part of the psychic trauma. And we just had the show yesterday with Dr. Lutz. I wanted to get her to speak to that, but yeah. The person that called in, last four digits, 8507. Your line is open. Dial back in, 8507. I got contact information for Elaine Brown.
How are you?
I'm well. Who's this?
Okay. This is Candace. I'm just listening. Good program. I'm just in the middle of some things. I have my phone muted, but just listening. That's it.
Oh, right on. Thank you for calling in.
Right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I got contact information for Elaine Brown, so I will send her a message today and see if we can make that program happen ASAP.
Okay. Yeah, she's hot right now, so I think she'll get back at you pretty soon.
That'll be great. That'll be two birds with one stone. Yay.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever see that documentary that they did on Jamaica with the skin lightening and whatnot?
I saw a portion of it where they were talking to these Black females. I can give credit again. War on the Horizon, Irritated Genius Southeast. They have a portion of it. It's like 7 minutes. I don't know how long it was, but it was like 7 minutes. And they talk to all these different Black females and some Black males who are using skin lighteners, and they talk to some of the physicians and how it's supposed to be outlawed, but you can get it really easily. And I've seen portions. I don't know if I saw the clip in its entirety.
Man, I told you about that documentary a long time ago, before War on the Horizon was even on the scene. I think man, you just didn't check it out, man.
That might be true. When did you mention it? When did you mention it?
It was on the show. It was on some show, man. We were talking about it, and I just was, talking about documentaries, and I was saying, I just brought it up because I had just watched it or whatever. But that was a while ago. Might have been.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing. I just kind of jokingly, but yeah, I did tell you. I did try to get you to see it, but.
909 credit, my bad. 909 mentioned the documentary.
What's the sound of one Black man yapping?
That's kind of true, though. Unfortunately.
Yeah, man. Yeah. This psychic trauma, especially this time of year, I wanted to talk about the media thing. I just had some psychic trauma happen to me, with this non-white, non-Black female, where she was talking about, Black youth, and she's supposed to be working with these Black youth, and I had to. I almost had an outer body experience, man. I had to. Hold myself back from, just basically going crazy. I felt myself, the trauma just well up in me, where I wanted to, throw everything counter racist out the window and just, basically curse her out. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't do it though. I didn't do it. I just basically, I didn't do it. It was it was some trauma right there. I couldn't believe it, man. I don't know, man. I just had an experience where, like I said, it was like almost an out-of-body experience. Like if you could see if I had an outer image or after image or something, I mean, it was just angry and, steam coming out my nose, but I was I was calm looking and stuff, but like my spirit was just going crazy.
What did she do to, specifically, what did she say to kind of push your buttons that far? And the person, 6522, your line is open, 6522, if you wanted to hop in. But what did she do, what did she say specifically to push your buttons?
She called a black female a devil. She said that she was in church being a devil because she was talking about getting something for free. They went to this, did a little field trip to this old cathedral. It's supposed to be, it's like 100 and some years old, and she was talking to one of my relative, and she was saying that she was being, she was sitting. What she say? How she said it? Like she said she was standing there being a devil. And I was like, man, I was like, she ain't no devil. You know what I'm saying? I had to go. I had to. I was gonna say, but it was actually it was just my understanding. It was my understanding of racism and white supremacy, and it was the counter-racist code that I'll give credit to. But I was gonna say I had to push my Zen button, but it was really the counter-racist button. I was hot, I was definitely upset, but I didn't let it show. I talked to her as calmly as possible, but with a little venom, but not anything that could, you could recognize, you know what I'm saying, where you could call me on it, but it was there.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Person that called in 1320, your line is open as well. 13. Thank you all. You all are doing a superb job of keeping the noise down. Thank you. I very much appreciate it. Call in tomorrow for the program with Senator Jordan in the morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. 1320, did you want to say anything?
No, I just signed on.
Oh, okay. Man. 909, were you going to say something else? Or?
Yeah, I was just thinking that it goes to what everyone was talking about as far as, putting the dark-skinned students in the academic class. And, I did some research, and basically it was saying that the, dark-skinned females, they're victims of this, pornography industry because they're looked at as ugly. And no matter, I'm talking about, I don't even think it's just my opinion because I don't give undue credit for nothing. I don't really, it's not my thing, you know what I'm saying? But I noticed that a lot of beautiful black females, even growing up, and even now, you tell them that they're beautiful and they don't accept it. Every single thing that you say, like what I find beautiful, and how I would just, be, in awe and express, how I felt, it's like, it's just shot down. Like, no, it's not, my nose is too big, or, my lips are too big, and I'm thinking, like, that's bomb right there. I'm just thinking that's beautiful, you know what I'm saying? Your lips, that's the things that you, are saying is not. So I just kind of, when I heard that, and I just felt like, that just goes along with just the trauma of black females being looked at as devils and this, that, and the, beautiful. It's just like all of these girls are just being thrown away. Low self-esteem and all this, and being basically preyed upon and abused. And it seems to me that they're the cream of the crop. So I know for a fact that there's purposely done. I mean, you taking the cream of the crop. You know, talking about these light-skinned females and whatnot, and these white women. I mean, you put them side by side with a dark-skinned black female. It's like no comparison. Nothing. There's no comparison. I don't know this, but they make them feel like, you know, they're less than. Because I think it's because they're the cream of they're the best. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like, not saying that not quantifying it, but I'm just saying it seems like maybe, I don't know. I just
would it have offended you more if it was a dark skinned female that said that?
The female that said it was non-white.
I'm saying, would it have offended you if it was a black female?
That said it.
You said she was non-white, non-black.
Yes.
So she was mixed, or she was. I hate to say mixed, but she was Asian, or.
Yeah.
Would it have offended you if a non-white black female had said those same words?
Yeah, but I don't think it would have been as bad. I don't think, because I've already had an experience like that, and I would have, that would have been kind of. I could have went to my memory bank and, kind of expected it. It would have been a softer. It would have been something that I already heard before and experienced before. So, no, it wouldn't have been as. It wouldn't have been as bad, I don't think.
Was she saying is she's one of these Asians that socialize more with non-white blacks? What'd you say?
No, she's like a what would you call it? Work with the youth, you know what I'm saying? Student, college student, you know what I'm saying? That type. So I don't think really her friends. Well, she socializes, but I don't think. I think majority of her friends are white and Asian.
Agree with you a lot on. Some of the trauma that dark-skinned sisters have experienced, and but even the lighter complected, women are just as traumatized. I think you can find beauty in all non-white black females or females who classify themselves as black, and who are classified as black. And, I think that, because, it kind of brings to mind that, when we use the word like sister and brother, which, I know, that's not something that we use too often on the cows, but I have a habit of it, and trying to use it as much as I can. But that is, to me, a part of what you're basically defending. That what irks you about it. You know what I mean? It's something about it that concerns you. But then I think that you, in turn, I'm not trying to make a debate out of it either. Just trying to make an observation constructively that you, in turn, when you defended the dark-skinned sister or the dark-skinned non-black or non-white female, you criticized the non-white lighter complexion female in terms of that they can't compare. And I understand that's a matter of perception. I just try to find me personally, and I probably would have felt the same way you felt had I heard what you heard. And I'm not, definitely agree with your emotions about it. But I think at the same time we got to be mindful of the fact that we got to, we come in so many colors, so many hues, or different shades, but there's beauty in all of us, because it's, I've met some lighter complected, women who are more conscious than many dark-skinned sisters, and that makes them extremely beautiful, as well as dark complected females who are extremely conscious, and that makes them extremely beautiful as well. So
I hear you. I was just putting in the context of the dark-skinned children, children being put in the back of the classroom.
Right. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
When I corrected the Asian female, I didn't say anything about less than or anything like that. Yeah, I just basically pointed out that the fact that she was talking about getting something for free didn't make her a devil.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's.
So I thought she was in the church. I thought she was. So she must have came to the church or something of that nature to pick up.
But they were looking at the church for their architecture of the church, because it was an old church. It was a cathedral, and they were looking at the just the way it was. Yeah, it wasn't a religious service or anything. It was just yeah.
Oh, that's the picture that I saw was that she probably went to church with them, and she was acting up in the church. So I understand what you're saying now. So it was just really a non-religious event.
Non-religious to the point, but with the devil reference, I think has something to do with it being a church. You feel me? It's like in the church being a devil. I mean, if you're not in the church and are you being you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it had a little bit of those kind of overtones or whatever, but due to the location.
Well, they're just, it's a testament again. Everything you said. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Well, there's someone who called in last four digits, 5404, and person who called in last four digits, 7012. Your lines are open. And again, thank you all for doing such a phenomenal job of keeping the background noise to a minimum. Thank you. But 5404, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I was just, I basically wanted to comment on what I heard the brother say earlier when he was saying like how he would, how he would comment on the sister's features and tell her how, but some way she still didn't believe it, because I've experienced that. And just based off what I've learned, I'm just wondering, is it in her subconscious, does she know how really impotent the black man is in the big scheme of things? Therefore, maybe his what he believes really doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I mean, in the case of the light-skinned sister, she has basically white supremacy backing her up. She's plastered everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So that could that may lead to I guess a version of self-confidence that she may have. But I'm wondering, does the black woman just subconsciously know that what we say doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things? Is that why?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. That's how they get taken advantage of in the porn industry. When some white person comes up to them that is totally a predator, tells them that they're hot, or they, wow, you know what I'm saying? Then it's believed. I mean, it's like Jesus done told them that they're beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Now come on, let's make this movie and let's show everybody how beautiful you are. I'm gonna put you out here and let everybody see how beautiful you are.
Montana Fishburne.
Exactly.
Yeah, but don't you think that's a lot of that has to do with whether or not, male affirmation, the father. I have a daughter, I have nieces, and I've witnessed dark-skinned children grow up to be very self-assured about who they are and their beauty because they were given it, from a child. When our sisters aren't, so it comes 360 when you look at the fact that there are not a lot of fathers in the community. I hate to use that word community, but there's not a lot of fathers in the areas where black people live.
Hey, I totally agree. I have 3 daughters. Matter of fact, I just had a baby born 8:30 this morning.
Congratulations.
And I'm gonna tell you, listening and learning lately because I've been going through all the archives and just, a lot of the things that I'm seeing, they really marginalize black fathers. You know what I mean? Just dealing with people in the hospital, you know what I'm saying? And me and my wife, I'm the father of all 3 of these children. I've raised them up from and I don't know, sometimes as a black father, I kind of wonder, do I fit within the mainstream of things? You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying?
You are an anomaly. You are abnormal.
Absolutely.
I can relate.
Exactly. I'm not what I'm supposed to be. It's almost like I'm not what I'm supposed to be.
I have a 9-month-old daughter.
I get that sort of thing all the time whenever I'm with my daughter. She's 10 years old. Whenever we walk down the street, we experience a lot of open hostility tragically, from non-white females who are identified as black. Oftentimes it's like teenagers who may be a few years older than her. They're like rolling their eyes at her, trying to pick at her. And then even older women who are in my age group who may approach me like from a romantic perspective, I oftentimes find that hidden beneath the surface of that initial attraction is usually their desire for a father figure, because, the few women that I've gone out on dates with, they seem to be really preoccupied with discussing the relationship with my daughter because of their lack of relationship with their father. And, it's a pretty weird dynamic, and when we walk down the street, we're usually reading on the train or something like that, and from other parents, I get their ice grilling me, like, who do you think you are reading to your child? It's pretty sad.
Man.
Yeah, it is. I remember.
I just wanted to hop in to open up another line. Person who called in, last 4 digits, 2658. 2658. Your line is open. And again, thank you everybody for keeping I got it. 2658. Your line is open, and we have 2 minutes left on the live feed. So if you want to keep listening, if you're listening at Blog Talk Radio, the number to dial in is 347-215-6071. The number again is 347-215-6071. You got about 2 minutes to dial in if you want to keep listening or if you want to talk. Whoever I interrupted, please go ahead. 2658, your line is open.
No, I'll just comment.
Good evening, sir.
Go ahead. I'll be quiet.
Good evening,
Good
sir.
evening. Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm still learning. It's obvious. I just actually got on the line and reading the caption, the preview of the show itself is interesting. I can definitely identify with the issues of our mental health problems as non-white people who are classified as being black, based on the system of racism and white supremacy. I witness it myself on a everyday basis. So I'm sorry that I came in kind of late, but I do think that this program is very constructive, and anybody who's listening to it should get something constructive out of it. I'll continue to listen.
Appreciate it. Hope it's of value. The people who called in recently, Last four digits, 6390. 6390, your line is open. Last four digits, 0198, your line is open. Last four digits, 7673, your line is open. And thank you. Fantastic job. If I had my applause sound effect, I would use it. The person, 6390, did you have a question or comment?
Yes, I think your show is very interesting. I've listened to you before, I believe, and it's an appropriate topic. I wish I was going to be here tomorrow when you talk about Black Wall Street. I'm from Oklahoma, was very much involved with the author of Black Wall Street, which was Mr. Ron Wallace. Well, are you familiar with him and his book, Black Wall Street?
That's not what we're talking. We're talking about the Mississippi
tomorrow
case.
Morning.
Right, that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow morning. The case in Mississippi where the black male who was found hanging in a tree, they said it was suicide.
Okay. I thought you were talking about referencing Black Wall Street.
Oh, no, sir.
Okay. I'll try and listen in and hear that also. But that's all I wanted to say was just go ahead and keep on doing what you're doing, informing the people, trying to apprise them of what they must do in order for them to survive in these coming years in this country. The white supremacist system is very much in play, and they need to know how to react to what it's putting out. So thank you very much. I'll be listening. I'll move out.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. Black
Sure.
Wall Street. I'll check on that as well. Who's the author again? Black Wall Street?
It's J.J. Wilson and Ron Wallace. Now, Ron Wallace has since deceased. However, he and I attended some function with him personally here in Oklahoma, along with Reverend Maurice Harper, and he wrote Outstanding African Americans of America. He had written a color book for young people. Maurice Harper, and they're out of Muskogee, Oklahoma. Both of them were. Both of them have deceased.
From.
Yes, both of them have deceased, and both were very close friends of mine, and I miss them very much. But that's the book, Outstanding African Americans of America and Black Wall Street by Ron Wallace and J.J. Wilson. All right, but I thank you for your show, and like I said, I think it's very constructive. Knowledge is power, and wealth is something that money can't buy. Talk to you later, brother.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. He said, brother. The person who called in last four digits, 8892. 8892. He did. 8892. Your line is open. That is wild. Maybe that'll start a trend. That was profound. Gentleman that had his child today. Is it a new daughter? Do you have a boy or a girl? Is he still the gentleman that had the child today? Are you still on the line? Oh man, that's tough. But yeah, I thought he said he just had a child today. Like, wow, to have a child and be listening to the cows. That's I don't know. It's kind of depressing, but I guess that's the correct thing to do under these circumstances. That's I mean, that's kind of depressing. Kind of like, man, I got to be listening to Gus on the day my.
That's a good thing.
I ain't under these
because he's getting codified, and he's going to need this information. I mean, trust me, this information has helped me in teaching my children.
Yeah, I was thinking that if you have a baby in this system, you need to run to the cows.
Hey, you know what? Me and my wife were talking about that, man. It's like, I don't even know if I'm going to even encourage mine to have children. You know what I mean? Because it's tough. Because you really, once your eyes are open. You know, once you take the blue pill, as I say, you look, man, what have I? It's almost like, what have I done? You know what I mean? That but I think that they will have an advantage. That they will be codified. That they will be stronger. I mean, my son challenges me, so I think it's a bigger picture because of what I'm teaching him, and because of what he sees me do. And he knows right now that I'm, you on that blog talk. You know what I mean? He's 12 years old, but he challenges me. You see, when he'll stand up against things that I may sometimes, because I'm so used to certain things. I may just look, even though I see some things, I'm not going to confront this situation. And my son would be like, Dad, did you just see that? Why didn't you say something? Now when he's with me, I have to always set the example. And I try to do it even when he's not, because I don't want to be contradictory, in my actions and who I say I am and what I'm about. But because they are young and they're being influenced, I think that, they're going to be more outspoken about things because of what they're getting at this early age. And they're going to be more codified. And I think and we need that. We need that to continue in order to replace this system. If we don't bring in a new generation of children who become codified at early ages, how are we going to replace the system if we have an attitude that we shouldn't bring children here? And that's my opinion.
I think that's critical points you made in regards to having to teach offspring and younger people really from birth, in the womb, and try to develop an understanding of what needs to be done, because there isn't a whole lot of reinforcement outside of the direct environment that the offspring may have with the parent. That if they're not getting direct constructive information in the home or from whoever is around them the most, there isn't a lot of backup out there that's going to put it together for them. So it's got to be done, and it's doable. It's not a super difficult, I would say, task. If you you got to commit and stay dedicated.
Right. I mean, we used to, before I knew about the cows, and I use confusion is lethal. We used to say the weak are food. You don't want to bring a turkey into the system. They fatten them up for the slaughter. You know what I'm saying? You want to teach them, like I said, genius is common. It's like the air we breathe. Children are geniuses, but the trauma is done by people around them that are running from the system, don't want to recognize, in denial of the system or whatever. So they get traumatized because they know that they're being lied to. So, I mean, for a child, that's trauma. That's fear. And people study trauma, man. It's not hard to get that trauma out. But if you don't understand it, you're not going to be able to do it. A lot of those traumatic experiences, they have a lot to do with your body. They go in. It encodes in your body. So when you hear a certain song or anything like that, it just triggers that trauma from that experience or whatever. So if you traumatize a child, then they won't be able to learn. So you have to know what to do to get that trauma out, and it's a body thing. You get it out of their body so that the brain just won't trigger them to shut down, because what happens is they shut down. The blood stops going to the brain, so they can't, You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. So you can't think, you can't learn, you can't do anything. The body just shuts the blood going to the brain, so you can't think.
Well, that's why we have to. One thing, the last show that Nathan Fuller did, he talked about the institution. Okay, becoming an institution of self. You yourself. And when he gave the analogy of a Marine, I was a Marine. Well, I am. I'm still institutionalized in that regard. Where I say I'm still a Marine. You know what I'm saying? And he used that because that's what you are institutionalized into a thought process that makes it the trauma that you have to go through, the stress that you face. They often used to say, and it's still said today, I still have a problem with it, is my tolerance for pain. Because Marines, for the most part, and I'm speaking generally speaking, because I'm speaking to myself, have a high tolerance for pain. And when we used to go to, when we had to go to the doctors, who were Navy doctors, it was very difficult for them to diagnose, some unless it was just pretty obvious. What I'm saying is, and I use I look at my children as not necessarily almost like an experiment. I'm gonna try this with them, and I'm gonna teach them this, and I'm gonna see how they respond. Particularly my son, because he's, I got a little baby girl, a daughter, but he is not as traumatized because he has been given the truth, and he sees things that I didn't think he was old enough to see. So when he deals with racism in his school, or when he witnesses it, it does not bother him as much because he knows what he's looking at. He's not naive to what he's looking at. He's not naive to what his experience is supposed to be. But because his eyes have been opened and he's being, institutionalized by his father, who is the greatest influence in his life and who should be, he looks at it and laughs. So I understand what you're saying, but we got to become that institution, and we got to make our offsprings institutions by giving them the truth. Go ahead.
What I find myself doing sometimes is, instead of trying to shut my two daughters off from just everything, that white supremacy puts out, as far as our TV shows and things of that nature, sometimes what I do is I'll sit down and watch these shows with them, and then I'll kind of, piece by piece, kind of break down what we're seeing, and then kind of go over some, kind of go over the logic with them. And I find when I do that, and they kind of see through the illusion of it, that they end up not even being attracted to those shows in the long run. You know what I mean? They're kind of like, oh, that's, you know what I mean? They're not as
and they're not as as intrigued by it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they know it's a tool.
Exactly.
So are you the same person that said you just had a child today?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I've had that same experience, though. I don't have children, but just like hanging out with Justice and watching a film, like, it's amazing if you're just telling your children the truth, being honest, and watching it and just deconstructing what you see. We were watching Raisin in the Sun with Sidney Poitier. Give me a second and I'll get on my job. So we were watching Raisin in the Sun, and he's upset. The plot, they get a lot of money because his father dies, insurance money, like $10,000. He wants to use it to buy a liquor store to put in a black neighborhood, right? Oh, my gosh. Raisin in the Sun, written by Lorraine Hansberry. very important. Lorraine Hansberry married a white man. Malcolm X used to chastise her publicly about this, and I think she met him at the march and kind of, gave him what for about calling her out about white sex. But at any rate, Raisin in the Sun. So Sidney Poitier, his character's name is Walter Lee. He's upset because he can't get this money that he got because his dad died and invested in a liquor store to put in a black neighborhood. And I'm watching this with Justice, and he's been drinking, and I have to explain to her what it means to be drunk, because he's drunk and he's vomiting and standing on the table acting stupid. And so later, after I've explained what it means to be drunk, she sees him and she's like, well, is he drunk now? I bet he's drunk right now. And I was about to be like, no, he's not. And then I stopped and I was like, whoa, well, he is. He's dancing now. When he was dancing before, he was drunk. Maybe he is. He's an alcoholic. I mean, he's missing work and spending whole days at a time in a bar drinking and coming home being abusive. He's trying to get a liquor store. I mean, he fits to a T alcoholic. Maybe he is drunk now. Just little things that I wouldn't even have thought about. So, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with the caller, his sentiments about watching films or reading with doing something together where you're thinking and breaking down what's going on.
Yeah. As I'm noticing now, she even asks different kind of questions, but real practical questions, but things that if you were just so enthralled and intrigued with the illusion, you wouldn't even think to ask these kind of questions. And I've noticed she's you know what I mean? She's so realistic and even in the questions that she's asking. So, like I said, telling the truth to your children is very important. Very important.
I mean, it's a system of deception. So teaching children to recognize the BS. I think the guest yesterday or the other day was went into that. But honing your BS detector is a fantastic skill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Teaching them logic.
I was just saying that just finding this show and listening to the archives. I've been listening to it for a good, I'd say about 2 months now. It's been almost like a godsend to me because you know what I mean. I haven't heard this much conversation about this topic from white people, and I'm telling you, I'm from Boston, and I haven't heard this much conversation about this topic from white people ever in my life, and it's just been very informative. It every time I hear something or hear a different show, it kind of rings a bell to an experience that I've experienced in life, and it's like, whoa, you know what I mean? So I really think you're doing great work, man.
Justice is inevitable. It's great. Are there any females on the line? I'm just curious. Been a male-dominated show, which is great. We have black males calling, being constructive, I think. Are there any females on the line?
Me. Oh, sorry, just besides me.
Justice, of course. Any other females besides Justice?
And also me.
And
yes,
also
I'm a female.
me. 818. Oh, I heard somebody else. Did I hear somebody else? The third one?
Yeah, that's me. 7673.
Oh, right on. Did you all have any thoughts on what you heard? Anything you would like to contribute?
Well, I just think that the media really has to really work on changing its mentality. The entertainers, all that. I think that's a really big factor in our mentality. Because I don't think we're going to change without the media changing. I just don't see it. Because that's what we're watching every day. That's what we're seeing every day. That's what we're hearing every day. And unless that changes, then I don't think anything's going to change as far as our mentality. I put on Wellington Park and Jamie Foxx was on, and he was talking about his latest song, talking about, I think it's called I Always Fall for Your Type or something like that. And he was referring to Roxy, the host of the show, and he was he's flirting with her and saying, I always fall for your type, caramel skin, good hair. I'm like, why would you say that? why would you say that? And that basically just hits us with another blow. Especially, this is why we're getting our hair relaxed, because we're trying to get the good hair. We're trying to get this whole image that's being portrayed. And, Jamie Foxx is like, an idol. He's handsome. I'm sure plenty of girls like him. Nice voice, good singer. We're attracted to that. And for him to say that, it's kind of like we have to live up to this image. We have to make ourselves attractive so that Jamie Foxx will like us, or so-and-so will like us, because, this is what's going on. So unless that changes, I just don't see a difference in our mentality at all. We're still going to get a relaxed hair. We're still going to get the contacts. We're still getting the fake nails. All that fake stuff, that's still going to be happening because we're trying to attract, guys such as Jamie Foxx who like this. And this is what's going on. Guys like this. Like, I have a younger cousin, probably like 20. He doesn't like black girls because, black girls can't grow hair. Their hair is like a pinch. It's like you can't even grab it. It's so rough. I'm just like, it just really like, it really pisses me off. So, I don't know. It's just that media is the devil.
It's a monster for sure. It's like, white people invest. I'm sorry, if more females have something to say, go ahead. I just want to say this real quick. White people invest billions of dollars to make sure that entertainment area of activity looks exactly how it looks. And so it's kind of like a yin and yang. It's like you have to already expect and know that typically if you're going to be watching TV, even if it's black people on there, they're going to be saying things, 99 times out of 100, to aid the system of white supremacy. And so, Jamie Foxx or anybody else that may get up there, I just expect that I'm not going to hear anything to say, yep, let's work against white supremacy, let's be self-confident, let's handle business and, solve problems. It's usually going to be something that's telling me, how to make things worse.
Right, but I know the guest on the show, she has her own show, right? And whatever city she was from, she has her own show, right? I guess.
Correct. She's in Chicago. You can see her work. She said the address ectv.com, Media Connections. It's ectv.com, Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, because I missed a little bit part of it. Was she talking about her? Was she talking about changing the mentality? Talking about natural hair, talking about white supremacy. Did she talk about any of these things?
She talks about that in her book. We didn't get to. She was only on for an hour. We didn't talk about it on today's show. No, we didn't. But she does talk about that in the book. And it seems like a lot of people were interested in what she had to say, so I'll work on seeing if we can get her back. But she does have that in her book, the media attacks, the image. She has a whole chapter on images in the book. So.
Mm-hmm. And I just think we need to start this campaign and just start handing out information to people on the street. You know what I mean? Because this is just not going to work.
You'd be surprised how much impact. I didn't. If 818, if you have something you want to say, hop in. I just was gonna. You'd be surprised how much impact you can have as an individual. It's. I think. I've heard people question why so many black people were concerned about racism during the 1960s, or at least it gives the appearance that that's what it looked like, more than maybe are so now. And that you got, Muhammad Ali and all these big name people being concerned about racism publicly is because just everyday folks, I think so-called everyday folks, just you'd be amazed how much impact you have. Just one person codifying your behavior, not having conflict with other black people, your hair, going natural, not using the chemicals and stuff. You'd be amazed how much impact you can have. Just one person doing your thing.
Yeah, the media is something, and I just want to make this one statement. And I was better. It sounds crazy to me. It may sound crazy to you guys, but I was accepted better in this society as a hustler than as a father. I felt greater acceptance. I don't know what the words to describe it, but it seemed like it fit more what I was supposed to be in this society than what I am right now.
I know exactly what you mean. I experienced the same thing.
And it's kind of like it's something that I just think about.
I mean, it fits the mold. I mean, do you see black males on TV, talking about racism, white supremacy? So if you don't see it, what do you see? You see rappers talking about hustling. You see, movies about, American gangster and stuff like that. So, yeah, if you're hustling, you look like the dude on TV. So, yeah, I've seen that before. It's accepted to that. I think that we need to have we definitely need to understand media and what it is. I don't think we have an understanding of media, really. It's not just, the TV or whatever. It's books, it's the show, it's audio, video. You make your own media. You can get your camcorders and whatnot, videotape your children and whatnot, them doing something or doing some, or see, speech and writing and reading, those type of things, or music or whatever, tape them, put it on the TV. I know when I do that with my nephews and nieces or whatnot, when they see themselves on television, on the screen or whatever, on the computer, it's like, and that's media, you know what I'm saying? They love it. That's powerful. Or if they hear themselves on audio, something that they've composed or something, they hear it played back. They're like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Hearing it played back, man, it's like, we don't understand media, man. It's powerful, but it's being used against us because we don't understand it, and we haven't took it into our own. We're not using the technology for what it should be used for. Man, I'm just telling everybody, man, videotape or audio tape your children, man. Have them read something, do a little presentation or whatever. Anything, man. That's media, and it's powerful.
All of the people here that are on the line right now, if you have offspring that are like 9 or up, would you be willing to have your child on a program? I'm doing exactly what he just said. Record your children. I'm giving you an opportunity to have your children on the radio program, and we could chat about, what they know about racism. Justice she would enjoy chatting to some folks that are closer to her age, I suspect. And I'm really looking forward to talking to more non-white children who are already informed about racism to get their perspective on stupid things that victims do. I think that would be real interesting. At any rate, the folks that are on the line now that have offspring that are 9 or up, would you be willing to volunteer your child if they're willing?
My oldest daughter is only 7, but I would, if she couldn't participate, I really would like for her to listen.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely would allow my son to do it if he's willing.
2658. I'm also willing to participate in that with my 14-year-old.
Oh, groovy. That's great. Got 2. All right, I'm down. If you 2 gentlemen, all right. It was 2658. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
7.
Khalil?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have your information, I believe.
Were you referring to a future program or right now?
Future program. I want to give them the whole show,
Great.
Yeah.
So I can prepare him for that.
Yeah. I'm not going to put you on the spot that hard. Wow.
Right. That's why I figured he would take it. Put on the spot.
Yeah. We'll give him, a few days so he can think about it and all that. Yeah. Right. No worries.
Gotcha. I listen to you all the time.
Oh, right on. I hope it's constructive, sir.
I find it very, very constructive in a world where it's rare, where non-white people very rarely consciously try to figure out the system of racism, white supremacy. with the idea of replacing it with something. I find it very rare. So it's very constructive and refreshing to someone like me.
Dig it. Be great. Looking forward to that. Woohoo! Anybody else on the line have children? Anybody else? We got 2. More the merrier.
Sorry, no children.
Hey.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. I'll work on that. If you're listening to the archives of this show, there you go. You can shoot me an email, untiljustice@gmail.com, if you have offspring that are 9 and up. Am I being reasonable saying 9 and up? Maybe it should be lower. Maybe you think
6 and up.
6.
Yeah,
anybody.
I think 9 and up because just what I know about brain development, I think that's a good number.
I mean, what if they're pretty codified?
How do they demonstrate their codification?
Ability to, I guess in this term for a radio program, ability to, sit and listen and participate and contribute to information regarding racism, white supremacy.
And they've demonstrated they can do this listening, following the conversation, and just being on topic, following the conversation at 6?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose if we're talking a 2-hour broadcast, bathroom breaks and things of that nature may be in order.
Is anybody? Well, I guess
265. I don't have a problem with the age range, but just like a lot of other things, you probably also need to make some sort of a judgment as far as on an individual basis with your child or a child on whether or not they are in the frame of mind to be interested in the subject matter.
Okay.
I would imagine you possibly could find, for example, a 6-year-old that on a certain elemental basis able to have interest and or articulate from that level some understanding of racism, white supremacy, because they certainly are affected by it. Especially since that age, you got children that are in the school system itself.
Yeah, the white 6-year-olds, they're definitely well on their way to being clearly informed. So I would say anybody non-white that's 6 should be trying to come on that program as well and participate and
yes, sir.
do some learning.
Yes, sir. Because I don't know if I figured some of y'all remember the Time magazine article that had on the cover of a white baby, blue-eyed, blonde-haired baby on the cover of Time magazine. It was about maybe a year ago. It had, the caption was, "Is my baby a racist?" And the article itself was a scientific study that 2 white professors imposed over the course of maybe about 10 years on white families about how early a white person is able to master the system of racism, white supremacy. And they itemized, and these were white people that itemized that the average white has an understanding of racism and white supremacy by the time they start public school. I have the article sitting on my coffee table in my house right now. It's a Time magazine article. I don't know the exact date, but it was sometime last year. So that gives you some idea. Actually, it was September 14th, 2009. And the caption says, "Is your baby a racist? Exploring the roots of discrimination." It's the caption. And on the cover, the entire cover of Newsweek magazine, it's a white baby. So, and they do understand that it's better in a world that's dominated by the system of racism, white supremacy, that it's better to be white as opposed to non-white.
I don't think they understand that. I don't think they understand it.
Well,
if you read studies come out in neuroscience, and
I'm not saying a baby now. I'm not saying a baby understands that, but what I'm saying at an early age, that white children are able to articulate on a certain level that it's better to be white as opposed to non-white.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of evidence of that myself, and really, I mean, I don't have the date, but right here on this program here on the C.O.W.S, I think I'm not giving them any credit, but admitted racist known as Timothy Wise, he said his children, his daughter, I think he mentioned was 8, maybe 9. She said she's a racist, and whoever, however many other children he had, but he said his children are racist. For people who don't know, Timothy Wise is a white person, of course.
The gentleman with the 7-year-old child. Do you think your 7-year-old could participate if the age limit was 6?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with the participating. Like I said, with just now, I would say within the last maybe year or so, I'm really, because I'm going to be quite honest with you. Even, the system of white supremacy has put such a subconscious fear. Even when I'm teaching my child certain things, there's a small fear in the back of my head, like, whoa, I wonder how she's going to fit in society. Is she going to, you know what I mean? I just have all these questions in my head, but I've came to the conclusion that, she's not going to have a chance. I got to at least give her a chance. And, you know what I mean? I have no problem with her sitting in and seeing what she can contribute. Maybe she may have something to offer that may even surprise me. So I have no problem with it.
Well, there we go. We'll put.
Speaking of younger children, specifically younger white children. When I was doing some exercise events, this person said to me, "Why do white people get so hot?" I'll repeat it again. Why do white people get so hot? And my child is like she's like probably about 7 years old, and I asked the teacher why do you think she said that, or what do you think she meant by that? And she was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And so, and the teacher's white, of course, and another little girl, she says, there are 6 white people. And she said it to me. She said, there are 6 white people. And she was a little kindergartner. And I usually hear that when I'm out and about, when I am doing my exercises.
Hey, Justice, do you know why white people get so hot?
No. I'm meaning when she said that, I'm meaning hot, sweaty.
Sleeping. Yeah, just thinking of this. No.
Well, Gus, it sounds like I'm outnumbered, man. My my concerns and whatnot, but yeah, I was just I am not totally opposed to it, but or anything. I just say, I was going to say be careful, but I don't know. It just takes a certain amount of understanding to, I just feel like if you don't understand the brains that you're dealing with, and it's just, I don't know. You're talking about being somebody. I don't know. It's just certain ages that brains just aren't developed, and they don't have the understanding. So I don't know what you guys are going to be talking about or what. So I think it'll be constructive either way, though.
Do you anticipate doing it, kind of impromptu, or you want to have a list of questions, for them to look over, and maybe from there you may be able to branch off into, some dialogue that may deviate from the questions, but giving them a structured environment, a structured program may make it easier for those younger participants to be included, and in the areas where they can't, be included, their parents can supervise in that matter.
I actually envision, the older children, contributing the most to the conversation, but I still think it could be constructive for the younger ones as well.
I can see it. This is 2658. I can see it from the standpoint because there's a lot of children who are in the school systems, and from there there are experiences of racism, white supremacy that they see on a daily basis. Some of them articulated better than others, of course, within the school system itself, such as, let's say, example, maybe in their history classes, the question between who discovered this place or that place. Also, in the social environment in the schools where white and non-white children exist in the same school, where who sits where and why, those type of things. Black males in general, especially black males who are in their teens, have experiences of direct violence or the threat of violence dealing with enforcement officials. A lot of them who happen to be white. Those are experiences that they can identify with. So to speak on those different subjects would encourage input on their behalf, I would think.
I think it works out. Go ahead.
Just examples. Those are just some examples. Not all of them.
I'll say this right quick, Gus, and I apologize. That different tier groups of ages, it may work out great, like the gentleman just said, because you have different experiences. The 9-year-olds experiencing one thing, the 12-year-old experiencing one thing, the 14-year-old is experiencing one thing, and even the 7-year-old is experiencing something.
Right.
So it may work out, as long as it's structured. And I think if you do that and you present them with some questions that are age appropriate, then it will probably flow much more easily than to just throw out some questions. And of course they got the period where they have to think and draw on some things. Whereas when they got the questions, it's almost like doing a research paper. That's how I would look at it from my side anyway. He'd be eager to have those answers to those questions at least, and hopefully be able to expound from there.
That is a great idea. I'm going to do that. I will, if everybody who is willing to have their child participate in the program, if you could send me an email as soon as possible, untiljustice@gmail.com. Again, untiljustice@gmail.com. just shoot me an email, and that way I can send the questions. I'll send them out. If you listen to the archive, open invitation. If you think your child understands racism, white supremacy, and can have constructive, mature dialogue, and people calling in to ask questions and things, if you think they can do that and it would be constructive, you have an invitation. Just shoot me an email. I would like to do this program on Friday, December 24th. Yeah, that's the day I would like to do the program, and I would like to do it in the evening, like 7-ish Eastern. That's when I would like to do it. If that's a problem, you can let me know if there are better times or what have you, but I like to counter the so-called holidays of white people aggressively. So I try to have shows, lots of shows on the specific day. Jeremiah Kamara, he'll be here on December 25th. So, that's the day I'd like to do it. Shoot me an email. We'll make it happen. I'll email the questions so they can ponder and prepare for the program. So that's number one. And I also wanted to make sure I'm sharing for tomorrow's broadcast with Senator David Lee Jordan, Mississippi State Senator. I just saw the photos for the program rolling by. One of the photos, if you get to see the description for the broadcast tomorrow, it's a web shot of the Mississippi State newspaper, which is the Clarion Ledger, CLARION Ledger, right? That's the Mississippi State newspaper. I was speaking with Senator Jordan today, and he said that the Mississippi State paper, the Clarion Ledger, has not reported on this incident at all. And I'm like, whoa, they haven't said anything? And he said, no, not one report, nothing. And he was like, this has got international attention, and it was in USA Today, and the Final Call had the big photo spread of it, and nothing. And so I went to the website for the Clarion Ledger, and that screenshot that you see in the montage of photos is what I saw when I went to their website. For people who are listening who maybe can't see it, the photo, the big photograph that you see when you get to this page is of a black male being handcuffed and put in the back of a police car. And the caption for this photo is, "Baby safe, second arrest made in Jackson carjacking." So they got a black male being locked up by what looks like a suspected racist or two, with a black male in behind, locking up this black male to go to jail for a suspected carjacking. The other article, the governor, who might be running for president in 2012, the governor is responding to criticism about making some comments about how great the White Citizens Council of Mississippi was back in the day. That's the other article that's on the front page for the website for the Mississippi, the main state newspaper in Mississippi, the Clarion Ledger. That's what's on the page today. Nothing about the suicide hanging of Frederick Germain Carter. But that's the screenshot that you'll see flashing by.
Gus, I just wanted to say, I hope I didn't offend nobody because what I said. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I think the show is gonna be great, man. Like, I think it's gonna be absolutely great. Like with the children and whatnot. I think it's gonna be great. Like, I'm excited about it, and I might have to. I don't know. I was gonna say I had to bring some of my nephews or somebody to participate, but you said offspring, so I don't know.
Hey, if you know some non-white children, we should be doing everything we can to encourage participation. So if you know some non-white children that you think would be down to participate, if they're cousins or neighbors or friends or nieces, nephews, whatever, grandchildren even. If you think it would be constructive, bring them on. We're looking to do it December 24th. Just shoot me an email so I can email them the questions. That is, kind of important. Shoot me an email and I'll email out the questions so, we can ponder.
Right. Okay. And something else I wanted to... Oh, sorry about that.
Sorry, Gus, how's your children's book going?
I really have not been able to devote any time to it at all. The work with War on the Horizon, it was taking up a lot of time because I was still doing my program and doing, 16, 17 shows a month, and then I was doing the sound for all of the other programs at War on the Horizon. So that was like, it was a lot. It was just a lot of time. It was like, it was pretty much doing a show almost every day, sometimes multiple shows a day. So I didn't have any time. So now that I have a little more time, I'm looking to get cracking on that immediately, but I have not made progress on that at all.
Is it going to be fiction, or what kind of format are you writing it in?
I guess I did make some progress. I would like to make it a series, and it would be the title that I was thinking about was Mommy, Why Are White People So Mean to Us? And just how it would be like a series. That way it could address like images, movies, television, all kinds of stuff. Why is why is our neighborhood always messed up? Why is the white neighborhood so nice? Like that could be a whole book to explain that. And to just kind of start with the basics. Like I want to, that's one thing, I'll ask just to kind of gauge how comfortable people that are that young, how comfortable are they hearing someone say that a certain group of people is not cool? Like, just to see if they're really informed, them hearing that. That's one way I gauge people being informed about racism, white supremacy, like how comfortable they are hearing white people talked about in a non-positive way. People that are more accepting of that tend to be a little more informed. That's kind of a loose correlation I found. So I'm curious to see how children respond to hearing that, white people are not cool. And in what language they can accept that. So maybe this will hopefully be some research that can go into how I want to say things, how aggressively you can talk to children.
Oh yeah, magazines, little coloring books. I mean, I got people that are just talented, man, with drawing and whatnot. I mean, if they were to put their energy into having something like that, a little coloring book for kids with the, Mommy, why, white people are so mean, and just, man, that would be, that's what we need to be doing straight up. Hey, do you guys think it would be as important to drill your kids as far as, because I have my opinions on it and it's things that I do, but really just ask them, just hit them with questions like, if somebody, if a white person comes up to you and says this to you, white male, white female, and have them answer, do you guys do that, or if not, do you think it's important to do, is to especially give your child different drills?
I haven't did that. What I'm struggling with is because my child, she's going to a school and basically it's for the curriculum, but it's a Christian-based school, and I'm giving her the truth, you know what I'm saying? Basically, no, Jesus wasn't born December 25th. It's a business thing. The stores want to get there. I'm basically giving her the truth, but at the same time, the school that she goes to has a Christmas program and has all, and she was in the program and in the play and everything, and has a lot of things that are enticing to children. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering, what do you think the effect would be with me giving her the truth and at the same time allowing her to participate in things like that?
Potential confusion. That's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. It's like zero reinforcements out there, and so it's potentially a confusing situation because it's like, well, Dad seems to be okay with it, to some degree, but if you explain, I've seen where if you explain, well, hey, they got these concerts or these different things going on, and I try to tell the child, try to see what they can learn out of those environments, but still tell them the truth about that. Hey, well, all these lights and these ornaments and whatever else is going on, give them the truth behind that. But it's hard to dodge it all. It's hard to dodge it.
I think you got to let them know. Okay, my son plays in the band. And if he's going to do a program, is it mandatory? Is it for a grade? And like the gentleman asked, do you drill them with it? No. I do because my son is reaching that age where he's probably going to be basically I do teach my son, okay, this is how you deal with law enforcement officials. Okay? You never run. You never put your hands in your pocket. Things of that nature. And you're right, you can't be contradictory, but you do have to. It's a fine line that you have to walk because there are things that take place at school. There are things that they want to do. Like we're going to see family. And that's just what it is. This is a time that the white supremacists has let us off the plantation. They're giving us time off work. So we have family that's out of town that are gathering, and we going to meet family. And I always make it a point, they know how we are. You know what I mean? So regardless of, we don't bring gifts. Now, I don't tell my son he can't accept them because because I can't tell other people what they should and should not celebrate. But because he's a young boy and he's gonna, somebody gives him a gift card, he's gonna take it. You know what I mean? But he understands that, we're celebrating family. We're doing just what our ancestors did on the plantation. Really, they just took advantage of the time off from the fields, to get together and so you just have to find some kind of balance. However, you have to do it for yourself. But I do say this for my son: he's not going to participate in any program that does not reflect a grade. He's not going to volunteer in any Christmas programs, any Thanksgiving programs, and that's not going to happen. And as a matter of fact, he won't even do it. He doesn't even, when they recite the Pledge of Allegiance in school, he doesn't recite it. He doesn't put his hand over his heart. And I didn't tell him to do that. He figured it out on his own. Because, you pledging allegiance to a flag? Give me a break. So you just have to teach them how to find that balance. And you give it to them in a way where they can understand it. And then you let them begin to process the information on their own. And then it becomes a part of their form of protest. You know what I mean? So
show's going to end in about 60 seconds. Tune in tomorrow. Senator David Lee Jordan, December 22nd, Wednesday. Tune in tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Pacific. Tune in tomorrow. The hanging, suicide, and or lynching of Frederick Germain Carter. If you all want to share anything before we get out of here, like 30 seconds, go ahead.
I would just say look into drilling, question and answering with your child. It's very important.